1944, the liberation begins. June 6, 1944. Dawn breaks over the beaches of Normandy. Through the mist and spray, thousands of landing craft approach the shore. The greatest amphibious invasion in history has begun. D-Day has arrived. This is 1944, the year liberation comes to Europe. The invasion of France is the most anticipated military operation of the war. For years, Stalin has demanded a second front. For years, the Allies have prepared. Now, at last, the liberation of Western Europe begins. Operation Overlord is an undertaking of staggering scale. Nearly 7,000 ships carry 156,000 troops across the English Channel. Over 11,000 aircraft support the operation. The invasion fleet stretches to the horizon and beyond. The Germans know an invasion is coming, but not where or when. An elaborate deception, Operation Fortitude, convinces them that the main attack will come at Pas-de-Calais, the closest point to England. Dummy armies, fake radio traffic, and double agents maintain the illusion. Rommel commands the Atlantic Wall defenses. He knows that the invasion must be stopped at the beaches. If the Allies establish a foothold, Germany's doom is sealed. He demands that panzer reserves be positioned near the coast. But Hitler insists on keeping them inland, under his personal control. The weather is atrocious. Eisenhower, the supreme Allied commander, must choose, postpone or proceed. His meteorologists spot a brief break in the storms. Eisenhower decides, okay, we'll go. The fate of millions rests on a weather forecast. The night before, paratroopers drop behind German lines. American airborne divisions, the 82nd and 101st, land in the chaos of Norman hedgerows. British paratroopers seize vital bridges. Many are scattered far from their drop zones. Small groups of soldiers fight alone in the darkness. At dawn, the naval bombardment begins. Battleships, cruisers, and destroyers pound German defenses. Rocket ships unleash devastating barrages. The beaches disappear in smoke and flame. 5 beaches are assaulted. Utah and Omaha for the Americans. Gold, Juno, and Sword for the British and Canadians. At Utah, things go relatively smoothly. The landing is off target, but the beach is lightly defended. By day's end, 23,000 men are ashore with minimal casualties. Omaha is a slaughter. The beach is heavily defended. German positions overlook every yard of sand. The preliminary bombardment has missed most of the bunkers. The first waves are cut down in the water, on the sand, against the seawall. They're murdering us here, an American officer radios. Let's get the hell out of here. For hours, the outcome hangs in the balance. Bodies float in the surf. Disabled vehicles burn. Survivors huddle behind obstacles, pinned down by murderous fire. Small groups of soldiers find the courage to move. Individuals lead the way up the bluffs, knocking out German positions one by one. By sheer determination, the Americans claw their way off Omaha Beach. Over 2,000 are killed or wounded, but the beachhead holds. On the British and Canadian beaches, the fighting is hard but successful. By evening, all 5 beaches are secure. The Allies have landed 156,000 troops and established a foothold in France. The liberation has begun. But the battle is just starting. The Norman Bocage, ancient hedgerows bordering small fields, is perfect defensive terrain. German soldiers turn every hedgerow into a fortress. The Americans advance at terrible cost, measuring progress in yards. Meanwhile, Hitler refuses to believe that Normandy is the main invasion. For weeks, he holds his best panzer divisions at Pas-de-Calais, waiting for an attack that will never come. The deception operation has succeeded beyond Allied hopes. Cherbourg, the major port needed to supply the invasion, is captured on June 27 after fierce fighting. The Germans have demolished the harbour so thoroughly that it will take months to restore. Until then, the Allies must rely on the artificial Mulberry harbours. On June 22, the Soviets launched their summer offensive, Operation Bagration. It is the largest Soviet operation of the war and one of the most successful military operations in history. For Soviet Army Group smash into German Army Group Center. The attack is timed to coincide with the 3rd anniversary of Barbarossa. It is also revenge for 1941. The destruction of Army Group Center is catastrophic. In 5 weeks, the Germans lose 300,000 dead and 250,000 captured. 28 divisions are annihilated. The front moves westward over 300 miles. The Soviets reach the Vistula River on the outskirts of Warsaw. The Warsaw Uprising begins on August 1. The Polish Home Army, hoping to liberate their capital before the Soviets arrive, rises against the German occupation. They expect the Red Army, just across the river, to assist them. It does not. Stalin halts the Soviet advance and refuses to allow Allied aircraft to land on Soviet airfields to supply the Poles. For 63 days, the Poles fight alone. Over 200,000 civilians die. The Germans systematically destroy the city. On October 2, the survivors surrender. Stalin will not tolerate Polish independence. He wants a communist Poland under Soviet control. The destruction of the Home Army serves his purposes. It is a crime that will poison Polish-Soviet relations for generations. In the West, the breakout finally comes. On July 25, Operation Cobra uses massive bombing to blast a hole in German lines at St. Lo. American armored divisions pour through. Patton's Third Army races across Brittany and then swings east toward Paris. The Germans attempt to counterattack at Mortain but are crushed by Allied air power. Their forces in Normandy are trapped in the Falaise pocket. Though many escape, 50,000 are captured and 10,000 killed. The road to Paris lies open. Paris rises against its German occupiers on August 19. French resistance fighters seize key buildings. The German commander, General Dietrich von Choltitz, has orders from Hitler to destroy the city. He disobeys. On August 25, the French 2nd Armored Division enters Paris. Charles de Gaulle, who fled France for years earlier as an obscure general, returns in triumph. He walks down the Champs-Élysées through crowds of ecstatic Parisians. Snipers still fire from rooftops, but nothing can dampen the joy. The liberation of France accelerates. Brussels is freed on September 3, Antwerp, with its vital port, on September 4. The Allies have advanced farther in 3 months than they had planned to advance in a year. Some believe the war will be over by Christmas. Montgomery proposes Operation Market Garden, an audacious plan to seize bridges over the Rhine in the Netherlands and open a direct route into Germany. On September 17, the largest airborne operation in history drops 3 divisions behind German lines. It fails. The British paratroopers at Arnhem, the bridge too far, are cut off and decimated. German resistance is stronger than expected. Weather delays relief operations. After 9 days of fighting, only 2,400 of 10,000 British paratroopers escape. Market Garden is a costly defeat. The war will not end in 1944. In the Pacific, the American advance continues. In June, the Marines assault Saipan in the Marianas. The fighting is savage. Nearly 30,000 Japanese soldiers die rather than surrender. Hundreds of Japanese civilians commit suicide by jumping from cliffs. From Saipan, American B-29 bombers can reach Japan. The strategic bombing of the Japanese home islands begins. In October, MacArthur fulfills his promise, he returns to the Philippines. American forces land on Leyte. The Japanese respond with their remaining naval strength. The Battle of Leyte Gulf is the largest naval battle in history. The Japanese introduce a new weapon, the kamikaze, suicide pilots who crash their planes into American ships. It is a weapon of desperation. The Japanese Navy is shattered at Leyte Gulf. For carriers, 3 battleships, and numerous smaller vessels are sunk. Japan no longer has the naval power to contest American advances. But the Philippines campaign will continue for months, costing tens of thousands of lives. In December, Hitler makes his last gamble. Operation Watch on the Rhine, the Ardennes Offensive, soon known as the Battle of the Bulge, strikes American lines in Belgium and Luxembourg. German panzers advance through the same forests they used in 1940. The Americans are caught by surprise. German forces create a bulge 60 miles deep in Allied lines. The 101st Airborne is surrounded at Bastogne. When the Germans demand surrender, General McAuliffe replies with a single word, nuts. But the attack cannot succeed. Germany lacks the fuel, the men, the air power to sustain an offensive. Patton swings his Third Army north with remarkable speed to relieve Bastogne. Allied aircraft, once the weather clears, devastate German columns. By late January, the bulge is eliminated. The Ardennes offensive exhausts Germany's last reserves. The troops, tanks, and aircraft thrown away in the bulge cannot be replaced. Germany has delayed the end by weeks, at the cost of any ability to defend the Rhine. As 1944 ends, Nazi Germany is clearly doomed. Soviet forces stand on German soil in East Prussia. Allied forces approach the Rhine. The bombing of German cities continues relentlessly. The regime fights on, but collapse is inevitable. The Holocaust continues to the end. Even as Germany collapses, the death camps operate. In the final months, death marches move prisoners westward ahead of the Soviet advance. The final solution proceeds until the last possible moment. In the Pacific, Japan is equally doomed but refuses to surrender. The kamikaze campaign intensifies. Japanese soldiers fight to the death on every island. The bloodiest battles, Iwo Jima, Okinawa, lie ahead. This is 1944, the year of liberation and destruction. D-Day and Paris. Bagration and Warsaw. Leyte Gulf and the Battle of the Bulge. The decisive campaigns that determine the war's outcome. Millions more will die before peace comes. Germany will fight to the last bunker. Japan will require atomic bombs to force surrender. The full horror of the Holocaust will be revealed. But the end is now inevitable. The Allies advance from east and west, from the Pacific Islands toward Japan. The Axis powers can delay but not prevent their defeat. This is 1944. The year of decision. The liberation has begun. Victory is in sight. The world holds its breath as the final act approaches.